Thank you. It's a great room. A lot of rich people here. Thanks for coming. Look at the new poll for president on the Republican side. It's very informative. Trump's up still at 23. Dr. Carson and Carly Fiorina are at 13, 10 points behind, adding up to 49% of the vote. All the other candidates, all of them elected officials or previously elected officials, add up to 34. Including the 4 that might actually be nominated for president, including Rubio, who looks very good, Bush, who looks very bad, Kasich, and Cruz, someone to be somewhat afraid of. And so what's going on? Clearly, having been in public office at all, or certainly serving in public office today, is a detriment politically in the Republican Party. A resume has become a rap sheet to the Republicans. They don't want to hear that you're part of the problem. Now, is this new in American life, this discontent with public officialdom? No, of course it goes back to the days of Jackson, the anger against the banks, against the East, against power. That's American. In fact, William Allen White, one of our heroes, of course, the great editor from Kansas in the early part of the 20th century, talked about America's great riches. He said it wasn't our mines or our farms. Hello? Or our electronic systems. It's what he called the divine discontent of the American people. We're always discontent. We want something better. And that is something I've loved. We've all loved that in us, the maverick spirit of this country. But I think what's going on in the zeitgeist today is different, more severe. It's not discontent. It's not even any more disappointment in our government. It's a sense of ongoing betrayal. That the leaders have betrayed the people, especially acute among white working people. Betrayal. It's no surprise that Donald Trump, wherever he got the idea, would begin his campaign for president, which has been very successful, with the issue of illegal immigration. And there you have a case of failure, at least, I would argue, betrayal by the political parties of this country. Back when I was working for Tip O'Neill, Ronald Reagan and the Democrats, including the Hispanic caucus, passed a bill that was supposed to work in terms of immigration. It was a very liberal bill. It was called Simpson-Mazzoli. Alan Simpson, a great man, was the Republican sponsor, and it had a Democratic sponsor on the other side, on the House side. It seemed to be the perfect solution to our problems of immigration, especially from the... Number one, it basically gave amnesty to everybody who'd been living in the country for a while, which the liberals and most progressive people said, good, we got to do that. It also provided for an honest system for people deciding, a work permit basically, E-Verify, that if you're not in this country legally, you can't work in this country legally, because everybody knows the magnet for jobs isn't that there's not a wall or there's a river that you can cross, but there's a job waiting for you in Chicago or wherever else, or at a hotel or wherever. You got a cousin that's telling you there's a job opening somewhere, you show up for it. That is our immigration system. But this was going to stop all that. Well, they never enforced it. Never. So one half of the deal went through, the other half didn't. So the Republicans felt snake bit by the whole thing. So ever since '86, what's been the game played by the two political parties? Well, the Democrats are afraid to take on the Hispanic groups, the Latino groups, so they say nothing about enforcement. You never hear them use the word enforcement, ever. Of any kind of enforcement. And on the Republican side, you never hear anything about illegal hiring because they like it. Cheap labor. Their business community loves it. Cheap labor. And by the way, the best work in America is the guy or woman who just got here. They all tell you that in the Southwest. Best worker, guy just got here. So neither side wanted to do anything legislatively effectively, so they both decided to play it politically. Democrats going for the Hispanic vote made a lot of sense. Show compassion, but good politics too. Republicans play the anti-Hispanic card. Good politics in most congressional districts. Not so well in the Senate, of course, where there's whole states that have to vote. That means a lot of Hispanic voters, Latino voters. So they both decided to fall back on politics. And there we are today with no bill. Well, that's part of the problem. The sense of sloppiness and failure and betrayal at the top. 11 million people here illegally since '86 because they never enforced the bill. Number two is the federal government Nobody really thinks the Congress is serious about it. We don't have appropriations bills signed by the president anymore. We have these continuing resolutions. It's a joke. It's sloppy. Nobody takes it seriously. And everybody knows at the top they're playing the games with the interest groups. Whoever pays them, pushes them, pressures them, they deliver for. They don't look out for the American people. So there's this sense that Trump is playing on the $19 trillion debt, the 11 million people here illegally, as evidence, quantifiable evidence, that the leadership class of this country is not serious about protecting the American people. And so there's that sense of betrayal. And add to that an overly sophisticated attitude of the leadership class, a kind of a sophisticated, we're above all those concerns. We don't really care about those things. We're one-worlders. We think big. We're well-educated. We're mobile in our abilities to get jobs, and our kids to get jobs. We don't care about illegal immigration. And let's be very Keynesian about the fiscal situation. We don't really think that's a problem. And the American working guy says, well, I do. I think both of these are problems, and I think you betrayed me. And why there's this chasm between working-class white people and the sophisticated people, the educated people. It's real. And it was real back in the Vietnam War era. Remember toward the end of the Vietnam War, the long-haired college kids from the good schools like Ann Arbor and Michigan and Harvard and Berkeley, they were all against the war, the sophisticated, well-educated kids. And the working kids who were fighting the war, and their parents thought they were being betrayed because they got talked into a war by the best and the brightest. And now they're making fun of the war now, having talked us into it. So the working class felt screwed by that. I was working as a Capitol policeman back then. It was my first job on Capitol Hill. It was a patronage job. I'd work at nighttime as a cop and daytime writing speeches. And that's how it started all. That's how it all started with me. And I was befriended by this country boy from West Virginia, Leroy Taylor. What a guy. Real country boy, former MP. And he decided he was going to teach me what it's like to be a working guy. He called me aside one time and said, Chris, and somebody talking over here? Can you stop? You know, he said, you know why the little man loves his country, Chris? It's because it's all he's got. It's all he's got. You know, and there's sense there, I think we feel in the country among the white working class right now, not just them. This sense that American citizenship has been degraded. It's not even referred to anymore, American citizenship. We use loose terms like undocumented workers. Well, what's that? They hear about that. They hear about our deficits. They say, who's looking out for the store? And you can go back and be a liberal about this and say, oh, it's the old, mob at the gate, rod at the top. I've heard it before. As Robert Reich would probably say that. A highly educated liberal would say that. Oh, that's just the way they do. That's what happens. The working class just gets upset. They get scared. Well, we'll see. I think that Bobby Kennedy was able to prove, I'm working a book on him now, writing a book on him. Bobby Kennedy was maybe the last Democrat who could really unite minorities, and certainly Latinos. Cesar Chavez was one of his close friends, with the white working class. How could he do it? How come when he died, and that train rode from New York to Washington, they're not just minorities at Wilmington and Philadelphia, where I'm from, crying. There was white working class people with dirty faces, fathers and their children lined up saluting. Where'd that go? Where did that deep sense that, okay, the liberals may disagree with us on policy, but they love this country every bit as much as we do, and they fight for this flag. The Kennedys did. They all fought. They were all in the military. One of them died, one almost died in the military. A sense of patriotism, that intangible. So you put that together with a sloppiness about the border, a sloppiness about the budget, and you throw in a cavalier attitude of, oh, we're too sophisticated to worry about those things regular people worry about, because we're mobile and we're intellectual and we'll get by. We're up there in the tower. And I think that's really getting to the people now. Trump is crass. He says terrible things about people. He breaks all the rules our parents taught us. Don't talk about being rich. My mother said, never say the word rich. Well off, comfortable. Be careful how you use those terms. Don't ever brag. And the other thing about don't make fun of other people's faces. I mean, these are basics of civility. And he breaks all those rules. It's his decoder ring. It's his way of saying, I'm not one of them. I'm not one of these careful politicians like Hillary and the rest of them who are always careful with their words and never say anything spontaneous, ever. because they're afraid that somebody might be offended. So that's how he gets in the door, this guy. But he also says something that I've been listening for. He talks about the wall. I don't think the average Saudi buster out there believes there's going to be a wall 13 feet high with a magic door. And nobody believes that. Come on. You think people are that dumb. They know it's too expensive. They wouldn't pay for it. They know the Mexicans aren't going to pay for it. This whole thing is, to me, is just entertainment. Except behind it all is the one guy willing to say, these guys running your country right now have betrayed you. They don't take it seriously. They just want to hold on to their jobs. They don't really care about the country's borders or its budgets or anything else. They just want to get reelected. And he's got them. I'm sorry. I think he's got them in most cases. And so he says things like that. But he also buries into it a very patriotic sentiment. And I want to say before I get to Trump at the end, the one candidate, and I'm a liberal, the one candidate out there that seems to be talking the language of the American patriotic gut right now, besides Trump and his crass way of doing it, of addressing it, and he's almost like the monkey that typed Merry Christmas, this guy, Trump. He sort of got onto it, but I'm not sure he should be onto it. But the other guys who should be onto it, of sense of patriotism and gut patriotism, aren't on it. And that's Rubio. When Rubio, and I think he's a hawk, and I worry about where his money's coming from, and I worry about his love songs to Sheldon Adelson every night. I worry about that. I think he's playing Romeo to Sheldon's Juliet, since we're in the Shakespeare Theater. I do worry about that. But one thing that this guy Rubio, and he's probably the best speaker in either party, he captures that gut American thing we all grew up with. He talks about his grandfather teaching him in Spanish American values. That's what people want to hear from their leaders. They want them to be heroes. That's my slip of the tongue. They want to believe their leaders are their heroes. They want to believe that they care about this kind of what we do, regardless of how much money or education we have. They want to have a sense of gut. I want to fix these problems, damn it, even if it's expensive politically, even if it offends some Hispanic group or offends some business guy. I'm going to fix the border. I'm going to fix it because I'm going to stop illegal hiring. And that's the magnet. And every one of us would get over that border wall, no matter how high it is to get a job. You got to stop the illegal stupidity of our immigration system. Like any other country, work permits make sense. But nobody wants to do it because it might offend somebody. But Rubio talks about coming into the country, learning Spanish, his grandparents learning English, gradually becoming American, and being, first of all, loyal to our values. That gut thing. Now, here's where the monkey types Merry Christmas. This is the genius of Trump. Mad genius? I don't think so. Very calculated. I don't know who he got the advice from or where it came from or how he got into the immigration business. But it's a way in the door to people's hearts and guts. And what he talks about, he says, and if you listen to his speeches, the nonsense, because I put them on once in a while, we cut in and out to try to get the gold and find out what exactly he's doing to connect to the American voter. He says, either we have a country or we don't. That is a powerful line to most people. Either we have a country or don't. And that means fiscal policy, budget policy, immigration policy. Are we going to have somebody looking out for us at the top who cares about this country the way we care about it? Instead of this sloppiness the Democrats and Republicans have been engaging in for years now, continuing resolutions. How come they don't have appropriations approved by both sides? Why don't they get their budget agreements done on time? Why can't the government do what it's supposed to do, look out for us? Why can't they have a reasonable system of progressive immigration policy where you apply to get into this country, either short-term or long-term, and it's enforced, and we're proud of it? Why don't we have an immigration system that we enforce and are proud of? How come we're incompetent? Because they don't really care. The politicians. What they really care about is the next re-election. And you see it everywhere, and Trump has nailed them on this. So who are the three people leading for the Republican nomination, which is a 50-50 bet for the presidency, by the way, because whoever wins the nomination has a 50-50 bet. That's the way the country is right now. It's very hard to get a third term for a political party. Very hard. You know? Because the three top people have never held office. They're innocent of the crap that's been going on. And that's powerful stuff. Dr. Carson, I keep saying to myself, it must be a parking place for people. But it isn't. They keep saying yes. So there's something he offers up, maybe moral leadership. Carly Fiorina is a ferocious person who came back from a slap in the face and looks good, looks strong and tough. And Trump, you know, sometimes I remember Ronald Reagan's great line, I'll admit I'm irresponsible when they admit they're responsible. And that's what this election's about. Thank you very much. Thank you.